Hello, everyone. Welcome to DFS Live here on the Optimus Fantasy Football YouTube channel. I am here with my co-host, Mike Reedy, and we're about to attack Week 5 of the NFL DFS Main Slate. But Mike, before we get to that, because we're both Red Sox fans, I got the hat behind me, and we've talked about it many times. Tito, getting a new job, Cincinnati Reds. Because of what he did for us, I am always a Tito fan, so I'm kind of like a low-key Reds fan going into next season.
I'm excited for him. He's a really good manager. I didn't get to see it. I meant to Google it, by the way, today. I'm hearing he looks incredibly jacked and like he's juicing.
He looks good. He looks healthy.
That's what they were saying on sports radio here in Boston in the morning, that he's incredibly jacked. Looks like he has a roid gut. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you guys know what a roid gut is. So
yeah,
I got to look that picture up. But I'm happy. He's a really good manager. I mean, you know how it goes, though, with that stuff. There's it kind of runs its course after 5 years or so, and they change scenery. Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of lots of people who've left Boston sports. He's one of them. If you hear the stories just about even how he talked to people that he worked with and things he did, oh my God, what a great guy too. Like,
he rode a scooter to work every day. Yeah. That was one of my favorite things. And two of my favorite organizations in baseball, Cleveland, Boston. He's got them both series. So I hope he does it for Cincinnati too. I mean, they've had it more recently. Their drought's not nearly as bad, but we'll see what he does. I think you Cincinnati fans out there should have some hope, though, for the future.
and trust us, that's a blessing.
Yes.
When my grandmother passed away after the Red Sox finally had won a World Series, and she was 89 years old and had been watching her whole life of just misery. So the hope's good. You finally have hope.
Is good. Yeah. Speaking of hope, let's go ahead and get into the Week 5 Main Slate DFS. We're going to start with quarterbacks, Mike, as we always do. We're going to start with my quarterback picks here. I will take full ownership of these. My low pick, we're going to start Justin Fields. Mike, I cannot believe he's still only $5,800 on DraftKings. The guy's putting in phenomenal performances. I made a point that I don't care what the matchup is, but they're against Dallas, and that defense has been putrid.
That fourth most fantasy points opposing teams quarterbacks, right? So Justin Fields in a smash spot. I think we talked about this on the waiver show too, right? Like just a smash spot this week. He's producing. I mean, can you be happier for a guy?
No.
Played for Chicago. People talking like he sucked. I never thought he sucked. Gemmo, the icon, can tell you he's a Bears fan. I was always like, whoa, what is wrong with Bears fans? How do they not see how good he is? Gets run out of town, ends up with the Steelers, supposed to be the backup. He's never losing the starting gig.
No. I mean, Tomlin, I think we talked about this on Tuesday. Mike Tomlin said as much. Like, Russell Wilson's health doesn't guarantee he gets back in this lineup. Justin Fields, like, we're approaching Justin Fields has won this job territory.
Playing mistake-free football through the first 4 games for the most part, right?
Yep.
And then he had 300 and something yards. I know everybody does it against that team. Trevor Lawrence has that team this week, by the way, folks. But everybody scores fantasy points against the Cowboys too. You kind of have to. They're going to throw the ball as well. That's a great pick. And look at that price tag, man. Jeez.
Well, and some of the guys that you're paying more for right now, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Caleb Williams, I don't think any of these guys have the ceiling that Justin Fields has this week. He could be the overall QB1, and I will say this every single week as long as he keeps doing what he's doing with that rushing upside and how creative he gets in Pittsburgh. It's a recipe for him to be QB1 every week. So at that price tag, how can you really pass him up? Now Jordan Love, he's my mid pick here, Mike. $6,500 on DraftKings. He's just good. But for $6,500, they're up against a really not very great defense. The Rams, this team is in shambles. Their offense is bad. They can't keep their offense on the field. There's going to be a lot of offensive time for Jordan Love in this offense.
Quarterbacks average 233 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Rams.
Yep.
Rams defense is bad. You can run on them too, by the way. They're just not defense is bad. I really like Jordan Love this week, and since I have him in a lot of season-long teams, seeing him back has made me very happy. Yeah, I have a lot of stack the pack type stuff going on this week.
Yeah, well, when we get to my wide receivers here, I definitely have a stack option I like the most. Though Dontavian Wicks could be a good low-price option. Now, not a low-price option at quarterback, Lamar Jackson, 7,500. Again, this is a matchup be damned type situation, but divisional rival Cincinnati, this is a week where Lamar Jackson goes off, and you really can't convince me otherwise. Paying up at quarterback, if you want, this is a week to do it with Lamar Jackson.
You know something you can do against the Bengals that Lamar Jackson does exceptionally well? Run the football.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably going to run it 10 times this week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about running backs at another point in time, right? But
very soon.
I think you're going to see him run the football a bit against his team. He's one of my favorite players in the league. All he wants to do is win. When people were trashing him in the past, I'm like, oh God, man, this kid plays his heart out. He wants to win. If you hear him talk, I don't know how to go halfway. I can only go all the way. And then he does things like stops and gets his picture taken with opposing team fans after games and things. Just great guy.
Yeah.
So, and great player. I like that because I think the rushing upside is going to be very big for him this week. Like, bring him.
It will be. Well, I mean, this is a chance for Baltimore to kind of put another nail in Cincinnati's coffin this season. And you love to do that to a division rival. And if you're a competitor like Lamar Jackson, this is the type of game where you show up and you just go nuclear.
And look what they just did to the Bills. And I mean, I thought the Bills were the best team in football until they went into
We all did.
I don't think that now.
No.
The Ravens are a really good team. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it should be a very good game. Now let's move on to running backs, the aforementioned position here. Mike, these are all you, buddy. I'll let you take credit for these ones.
Let's start with the high one because we're with the
Let's do the high one.
All right.
Derrick Henry, 7,800 on DraftKings.
He has 30 points in each of his last 2 games, 30 fantasy points in each of his last 2 games. He has scored double digits in every single game this season. I know he started the season a little slow. He didn't score 30 points. 209 total yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Bengals gave up 20 points to Chuba Hubbard in week 4. You can run on the Bengals. This is a smash spot for the King.
Yeah.
I'm down with the King. I really like Derrick Henry this week and the rushing upside here. That's why I like the Lamar Jackson take as well, by the way. I think they're going to run all over this Bengals team. He's 7,800 on DraftKings, so you have to pay up for him. But you're looking at a guy that's probably going to get you 20 to 30 points without batting an eye.
He can outscore a lot of the higher priced quarterbacks.
Yeah.
A lot of the similarly priced quarterbacks, I suppose, would be the better way to put it. You're going to get no arguments for me with Derrick Henry. I think you said it all, but I want to hear more about your mid-pick DeAndre Swift.
All right. So I am not a Swift guy. Let me start there. I never drafted him in redraft. I kick myself for wanting to play him in DFS just because I don't like him for some reason. I don't know why. I think I might have played him twice and he epically failed me. They can't pass the ball very well, those Chicago Bears. They just can't. They're not doing a good job with it. Last week, Swift had 93 yards and a touchdown. And this is like we were talking before the show. It feels like you're chasing points with some of these guys, but I'm not. So he plays the Panthers this week, right? The Panthers are really bad at defending anything, but they don't defend the run well either. They give up the second most fantasy points to opposing teams' running backs. So if there was ever a time that DeAndre Swift is going to do well for you 2 weeks in a row, this is the time. Like he should do very well. He's only 5,700, right? So that allows you to pay up in other places if you want to play him. I would play him more likely in a GPP than in a cash play, to be honest, right?
Sure.
Because I think the upside's there with the low price point to help push you up the stats in a GPP. But I think he's going to have a good week. 5,700 on DraftKings, 64 on FanDuel. This is one of those, the stars are aligning. The only one who can screw this up is the Bears coaching staff. And they
Well,
and they might
hold my beer here. But no, I'm with you on this. DeAndre Swift, we see him every season. He has like that 3, 4, 5 games that make us believe that he's more than he is. But those 3, 4, 5 games, if you can find those and plug him in those weeks, you're going to be a really happy manager. This is one of those weeks against this defense.
I have one more reason.
Let's
6 different running backs have scored double-digit fantasy points against the Panthers in 4 weeks. 6.
There you go.
It's more than
maybe,
1 week. Yeah.
Yep. Maybe this is a Roschon Johnson week.
Well, they
could
both
be a touchdown week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both could get there. Now, your last pick here at running back on the other side of this game is Chuba Hubbard. I am all about him at a $6,100 price tag. He's been pretty freaking electric in this offense, Mike.
So since Andy Dalton has taken over the last 2 weeks, he has scored over 20 points, 20 fantasy points each of the weeks. He also has over 20 touches a game.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence? I think not.
Not at all.
The Bears give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing teams' running backs. I think he's just going to keep it rolling this week, right? You can run on the Bears. They're better against the pass. I'm not for playing Andy Dalton this week, by the way, at all. I think that the good thing is if you have those wide receivers in redraft, that there's only a couple of branches on the passing tree. But Chuba's the guy this week. We're looking at another 20-point fantasy week out of him against a defense that's going to let him do it. And he's only 6,100, right? So,
yeah,
he's priced very reasonably. It's
a really good price tag in a guy like you're saying. This is going to be a Chuba week. I also like Xavier Legette this week, more in just fantasy redraft because he's the wide receiver too, and I don't think he's going to draw a lot of that coverage. It's going to be a deterrent to throwing the ball against Chicago. I think he could actually see more targets than Deontay Johnson. Probably the only time this season I'm going to say that, but I could actually see it happening. So,
but the passing trees really only got those. Where's my camera? 2 branches on it, right? So
that's it.
So he's probably going to get fed. Somebody's going to catch passes there. I think Legette's probably going to have a good game too.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not high on my DFS priority list, but in other places I'm throwing him out there. Now, speaking of wide receivers, Mike, let's get to those here. I'm going to start with my low-price wide receiver. Take your trend from running backs. We're going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson, 5,600 on DraftKings. We know Malik Neighbors is out. Wan'Dale Robinson is second in the league in targets. Devin Singletary's still their running back. I think we're going to see a lot of Wan'Dale love. This is a volume play for me. Wan'Dale Robinson,
target, 24 yards.
Yeah. But a touchdown. Wan'Dale's been good enough, right? And if Malik Neighbors is out, I think he assumes obviously the wide receiver 1 role. I might be looking at a little Darius Slayton here and there. Pepper him in. He could be a good low-cost option. But at 5,600, I really like Wan'Dale Robinson.
I wouldn't be surprised if he saw between 15 and 20 targets. I mean, he seems to anyways. So
right.
Without Malik Neighbors, his target volume could go up even higher. I'm joking about the lack of yards, but it's all really short passes, and he seems to get swarmed after he makes the catch, but he makes the catch. So like in a PPR format like on DraftKings, he's probably a really good play, especially at that price. I mean, could get 12 points just on the receptions.
Oh, exactly. Seattle's got one of the better pass defenses right now, but Wan'Dale I still think will feast. I'm okay with that, especially at a $5,600 price tag. But don't stack him with Daniel Jones, please. Don't do that. But who you should be stacking if you're going to go Jordan Love this week, Jaden Reed, $6,500 on DraftKings. No Christian Watson. This could be a massive Jaden Reed week in Green Bay. I feel it. And against the Rams.
So how many games has Jordan Love played this season?
3 games.
Jordan Love. Love? He's only played 2, right? Did he play
Love
a
has
fraction
played
of the
2
game too?
games, week
Yeah.
1 and week 4.
All right. In those games, Jaden Reed has 138 yards and a touchdown in the first one, and 139 yards and a touchdown in the second one. So
Yep.
when you say it feels like, oh man, does it ever feel like?
Every week almost.
Yeah, and with his quarterback back in the lineup, I'm huge Jaden Reed guy and Jordan Love guy, by the way, together.
Yep.
It's wonderful. Yeah,
I have
great call.
Yeah, I have them stacked in my home league. It's paying off those 2 weeks so far. I just hope it keeps going. Now, my high price guy, Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. He is $7,700 this week. They're up against Buffalo, who we once thought was the best team in the AFC. We no longer think that, but I still think they're good. I mean, their defense is good. Their offense is good. They're going to rebound. I just don't know that they can stop Nico Collins.
Are any running backs playing for the Texans at all this week?
I mean, that depends on what you qualify as a running back.
Well, I mean, we all had high hopes for Akers. Mixon's out. I think Pierce might play. And
it's not sounding good.
It sounds bad. You can run on the Bills, but with those guys out, it just means a high dosage of passes for Collins and Diggs. And Stroud can get him the ball even against a tough defense.
Yep. 7,700. He's my favorite high price receiver this week. I don't think there's much more to talk about than that there, Mike. So let's go ahead and move on to your tight ends. I really like these picks this week. We'll start with your high price guy, Brock Bowers, 5,500. With Devontae Adams not playing.
All right, so you're going with my thought process. Adams isn't playing, and we know if we watch this show or pay any attention to things I say or write that I like Trey Tucker as well, especially with Adams out. Not this week, I don't. Right? It's against the Broncos. You want to know who they defend well? They defend wide receivers well. Patrick Surtain Jr. is going to put a curtain on whichever wide receiver he covers. He has every game this season. He makes them just irrelevant.
Yep.
We're talking about a Raiders team that can't really run the ball exceptionally well either. So what does that leave you? That leaves you the best rookie tight end we've seen, I don't know, since Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Or Sam Laporta maybe last year. I don't know. It seems like one comes out every year now, I guess. But anyways, Bowers is playing against a middle of the pack defense against defending tight end. He's really good. Let's face it. I know fantasy points. He hasn't been putting up 20 a game or anything like that, but he's probably the most consistent tight end there is out there. He's going to get some targets. The target should uptick because of the defense they're playing this week. So game script should dictate that Bowers is going to see more targets. I just can't see why not, right? Like, it's not like the Raiders can run the ball. This is their best option. Their coaches know it. They're going to go to him. He's only 5,500 on DraftKings, 6,300 on FanDuel. It's high price for a tight end because most of them suck, so the prices aren't super high. But I like him if you want to go with a high price guy.
He's a high price guy that's going to pay off.
Yeah.
That's the thing, which is hard to find this season with tight ends, but you know what Bowers is going to be. To your point about Trey Tucker real quick, I kind of think Trey Tucker might get some volume because Surtain's likely going to be on Myers the whole game.
I would hope so, but
yeah.
I'm not sure. Myers tends to be more of a slot guy, so I'm just not sure how that's going to
Sure.
play out,
yeah, right? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'm with you on being off of Tucker. Just makes
more
sense.
I wouldn't want to pick either one of those wide receivers because
nope.
if he gets on one of them, you're going to get nothing. I mean,
right.
or next to nothing. So the gamble isn't worth it.
Okay, so your mid-price player, though, Mike, I do not think is a gamble. Cole Kmet against Carolina. I mean, what else do we have to say? It's Carolina, but they are the 5th worst against the tight end position right now in fantasy. They're giving up an average of, to be fair, 10.8 points. That's pretty good in DFS. That's a total I'll take if Kmet can hit that this week.
So some of this is getting to know the things we get to know through the season, right, as we go on. And we've had 4 weeks as well. Who is Caleb Williams more likely to complete a pass to? Cole Kmet, somewhat short pass, big, huge body, or down the field to say DJ Moore. I say Cole Kmet.
Right.
The matchup's nice as well. Again, this is like I was saying with Swift. It feels like we're chasing the points because they were utilized last week, and the coaching staff could change that. But these are teams that this is what you can do against them, right? So you can throw to your tight end against this team. I think they will. I think you're going to see Swift use as well. I mean, we're still playing a little bit of tight end roulette here. I'm not chasing the points because Cole Kmet had a good game or anything like that. It's that I'm chasing the matchup on this, right? And again, 4,300 on DraftKings. The price is not bad at all. The last guy, again, I've heard plenty of people say you're chasing the points with Tucker Kraft. I say you're not because Jordan Love's playing quarterback. He used his tight ends really well last season, meaning Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft, whoever was healthy, was churning out top 10 tight end numbers week in and week out, whichever one was healthy and in the lineup. It appears this is Tucker Kraft's job, and I say that because he's dominating the snaps. He had 86% of them in week 4. He also had his highest volumes of targets in week 4 as well. But Jordan Love was back in the lineup. He wasn't getting targeted by Willis, and that's all right, right? Different quarterback, different skill set.
Yeah.
I like it. I think if you're going to stack the Packers, I like the Reed piece, and then going low cost with Tucker Kraft here at 3,500 on DraftKings. I think it's just a great option. And again, as I said, the tendency of this offense is to utilize that tight end. I used both guys last season. So I'm speaking from experience, both Musgrave and Kraft, whoever was, when Musgrave was hurt, I used Kraft. They get targets regularly from Jordan Love. So it's a relatively safe play. I don't think it's a high ceiling play, but it's a really nice cash play for sure.
Well, the Rams, 7th worst against the position. So we're kind of just beating up on those defenses. But I love this. I love Tucker Kraft. I love him across the board this week because of this matchup. And let's talk about some of these defenses, Mike. This is always a tough one. It's almost a dart throw. They're all kind of priced the same. Looking at matchups this week, though, you're going to see a theme here. My high-priced defense, 3,500 on DraftKings. The Seattle Seahawks up against the hapless New York Giants. This is a big time. They don't have Malik Neighbors this week. I don't know how much damage Daniel Jones can do with those short routes to Wandale. And while I want him in PPR because there's going to be volume at that price, I also want the Seattle defense against this Giants offense. I think we're going to get turnovers. We're going to get sacks. We're going to get ineptitude from the Giants offense.
Singletary's also doubtful, by the way. Just popped up in front of me while we're talking. So,
okay.
You're more than likely going to miss Devin Singletary and Malik Neighbors. So you're going to be dealing with like Tyrone Tracy. I mean, he might be a nice play for DFS, by the way, as well, if Singles is out. But yeah, I like the Seattle defense too. Really good. I know that the Giants haven't been coughing up the ball as much, but the Seahawks defense is good as well. So you're going to see some sacks. You might see a fumble recovery here too, just because that's the kind of thing that the Giants have been doing.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. If you're paying up, not that that's way up, but that's.
Yeah, I mean, the highest price defense this week is the 49ers at 3,700. So, which that's just a real chalky play I was trying to stay away from. Now, for my mid and low, Mike, we're going to stay in the same game here. It's this Las Vegas Raiders at Denver Broncos game. The Raiders defense is the mid choice here at 3,100. The Broncos defense is the low end choice at 2,600. My tendency here would be to take the Denver defense because they have been so shut down. What Vance Joseph has this team doing on defense is incredible. It's the only reason they're 2-2.
That's actually who I want to play this week is the low
Yeah.
one, the Denver one. They've also had 12 sacks in the last 2 games. I mean, they're just really getting after the quarterback.
Yeah.
And you have the coverage downfield that allows you to get those sacks. So I like them a lot. And I mean, even though we were saying to play like Bowers, we talked about the Raiders a little bit here, that Denver defense is really good. Minshew's the starting quarterback. I love him, but he's the best backup quarterback in the league. He is not the
Right.
best starting quarterback in the league.
Right.
And I think we're going to see the Broncos churn up some points here as well.
Yeah.
Double-digit fantasy scores three out of the 4 games this season too. So you're looking at probably 10 fantasy points easy.
Well, and this is a division rival. This isn't just any division rival. This is the division rival.
No.
I used to own a Raider hater shirt when I was a kid, so I know how this feels. And for a guy like Sean Payton, you go into this game as a morale booster. If you blow this team out of the water and just absolutely destroy them, it's a game changer for this team, for the morale, for Bo Nix, for these guys. The defense is where that happens, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, their offense is much to be desired right now in Denver, but their defense is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an understatement. This offense is we're starting to get Tim Tebow to Bo Nix comparisons in the local media.
When he runs backwards for 50 yards or whatever the heck it was, then you can have that comparison.
Yeah, right. I lived through the Tim Tebow days. That was freaking awesome.
First football game my son ever watched with me was watching Tim Tebow run backwards. And my son had never watched football before. And he's a kid, and he looks at me and he says, I don't think that's what he's supposed to be doing.
It definitely was not, but it worked. I'll take it. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us here on DFS Live here on the Optimus Fantasy Football channel. I would like to remind all of you to please like and subscribe. We appreciate it so much. Later today, I will be back here with Matt Chester and special guest Sam Wise from In Between Media. We will be doing a live Q&A at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll go until we run out of questions or at 7:30 because I do have a kid and a responsibility I got to get to. But we're here. We're here to answer all of your questions. If you happen to miss us there, tune into Reddit Sunday morning, more like log on. We will be there from 11 a.m. Eastern up until right before kickoff, answering your start-sit questions. Mike, it's a rabid bunch. Get some good answers.
If you're going to have Samwise on the show, you're not going to have Frodo?
No, I should, but I didn't know how to get a hold of him. Sean Aston, if you're watching, homeboy, please, we'd love to have you on this afternoon. It'd be awesome. Big fan of Rudy and the Goonies, of course.
Oh, great movies.
Great movies. Yeah. All right, guys, one more time. Please like this video and subscribe to the Optimus channel. Set notifications. 5 days a week, we are live. We're going to have a lot more coming to you in the next few weeks. It's been a pleasure. Mike, thank you so much for tuning in. For Mike Reedy, I am Nate Polvogt. We will see you next week.
Thanks.